On this week's Ranked and Reviewed, we're continuing our Predator Ranked and Reviewed with the movie Predators. Hello everyone and welcome back to Ranked and Reviewed. I am your host, TOMYE West. Joining me as always is my co-host, ALANNIS Maximus.
Hello.
We are here to do our review of Predators, the 2010 Predator movie. Now, before we continue, please leave a like. That's all we ask you to do is leave a like. Nothing else. Leave a like. It helps us out a lot, doesn't it, Alan?
It does. And that makes me feel good as cherry Kool-Aid.
She's my cherry pie. All right. So, let's get into an overview of the movie Predators. Predators was released in 2010 with a rating of 15. So I'm guessing that is rated R. So not NC-17, but rated R. 1 hour and 47 minutes is its runtime. Gets a IMDb rating of 6.4 out of 10. Now, this was directed by Nimrod Antal. It was written by Alex Litvak, Michael Finch, and it has characters based on the writing of Jim Thomas. And this stars Adrian Brody, Lawrence Fishburne, Topher Grace, Danny Trejo, and a bunch more. Now,
Walter Goggins.
The premise for the movie is this. A group of elite warriors parachute into an unfamiliar jungle and are hunted by members of a merciless alien race. And this movie had a box office budget of $40 million. Opening weekend, it made $24 million in US and Canada and was grossed worldwide $127 million. So didn't really fail, made its money back, made a good amount of profit. And I don't know if you know this, Alan, but it was also known as Predator 3. Now, this was released also on July 8th of 2010, and its filming locations were the Hamakua coast of Hawaii in the United States of America. Now, with that, let's get into what we thought of this movie. Alanis, you go.
I enjoy this movie. I like that they've gone to an alien world, like the hunting planet of the Predators. You see other aliens that they've been dropped in there. It kind of opens up the scope of some of the things you see in the comics and in the more kind of background stories of the Predators, which I like. And it's very well paced as well. It literally starts and doesn't stop. There's not a slow moment, and it doesn't have that build up that Predator 2 when Predator has, where it's like there's a predator coming. It's pretty on, like, fast paced from the start to the finish.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel like, well, I want you to dive a little bit more into some of the thoughts of what you think of the casting, what you thought of the plot and stuff before I get into my thoughts on this movie.
It's interesting. You can tell some of the casting they've tried to kind of parallel it to the first movie. Like the Russian dude is kind of like a cross between Blaine and Arnie. But I think it's good that they've got a eclectic mix. I'll use that word of just characters. It's not like just one group of tight-knit people. It's a bunch of just random kind of apex warriors, I guess, from Earth.
I definitely agree. And I mean, also, I think that this movie's characters and casting is almost above any of the other Predators we've watched so far in many ways.
Absolutely. Definitely
superior. I also think that the plot is superior to most of the Predator movies we've gotten. I think they give you a bigger understanding of the Predator themselves, how they hunt, tactics that they use, weapons that they use, how they learn from you, how they have like their own seasons on this planet of like hunting. They come in groups of threes all the time. Like there's just so much lore in this movie compared to previous installments that I feel like it sets up the Predator universe, characters, and everything about the movie itself in a better fashion than something like Predator 2 did, or even Predator did, even Prey, I'm really disappointed that we didn't get a follow up to this movie, because this movie ends on the biggest, we're going to get a sequel to this movie ever. You know what I mean? And I just feel like this movie is so fucking underrated for the Predator franchise. I mean, I love this fucking movie.
I get the feeling it didn't do well, or as well as it should have, and I don't know why, because it's fantastic.
It really is, man. It really is a good movie. I mean, the only criticism I have with this is the casting of the main guy. I feel like he's very one note the entire movie. I like, the whole bad boy image and the whole, I'm going to find out who threw me out of a fucking airplane. You know what I mean? Like, it's that tone constantly, like, they're hunting us. Like, they're watching what we do. Like, it's just like, we get it. Like, can you spit, like, you know what I mean? Like,
You're not Wolverine.
Yeah. And you know what I was laughing at, man, is the fact that I forgot that Topher Grace is in this movie, and he opens up with him hanging in the tree, and I was like, hanging out down the street, the same old things Predator did last week. But yeah, like, there's some awesome twists in this movie. There's some awesome cinematography in this movie. There's some awesome action in this movie. There's some awesome setups of characters in this movie. I just feel like this movie severely was underappreciated, and I also believe that this was the perfect, in my books, this is the perfect Predator movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why people consider the first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger to be the best Predator movie, because we've watched the Predator movies back to back at the moment, week by week, and I like Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's the original. It's where all this comes from. But like, had this been Predator number one, no one would be saying that this is the worst or not the best or close. You know what I mean? So, I love it. In the background right now, it's Topher Grace hanging upside down, hanging out down the street. I love that 70s show, man. So it's good to see him in this. I do like his opening line where he's like, "How the fuck?" You know what I mean? I do love that other part where they like make him run away from the monster or whatever, the other monster that they dropped onto the planet, and then he's just like, as they shoot it, he's like, "Fuck all of you!" I love that. It's a great movie, man, and I mean, it has some awesome. I'd say the most creepy bits from a Predator movie so far. It has in it, with the whole like Danny Trejo is like sitting there facing away from him. He's being killed, and they're like, "Help me, help me!" And then they shoot him, and it continues like, "Help me!" And you're just like, "Oh man, this is fucking like way more scary than any of the other Predator movies." You know what I mean? Like the way they have him sitting there, the isolation, the tone, the creepy way he's like, "Help me," you know what I mean? And like, you just know it's a trap from the get-go. Like, there's just so much about this movie. I love the way that, I love how it looks authentically in the jungle from a different planet. There are some shots that I wouldn't say look very authentic. Like, my main one is the one behind our screen at the moment, us, which is them walking across those rocks. I would say that does look nothing like the Predator planet or jungle. That looks like Yellowstone National fucking Park. You know what I mean? But like most of this movie, it looks really, really good. I think all the cast do a great job. I like the fact that, there's a Yakuza member from Japan. There's the guy from prison. There's the Russian guy who, is lovable in this movie, even though he's like, a Russian warfighter and shit. Like, they kind of make every character lovable. Even the most probably nearly is Topher Grace until the end, where you find out that like out of all of them, basically, he's the fucking worst one out of all of them.
Yeah.
I think there's some jokes in this movie that definitely don't age well. In our day and age, especially, I'm talking about the rape joke specifically. I don't think that aged very well at all. You know the rape joke I'm talking about,
Yeah, yeah.
where he says, "I can't wait to get out of here, do lots of coke. I'm going to rape so many bitches." And he's like, "You know what I'm talking about?" And then Topher Grace goes, "Yep, it's 5 o'clock. Bitch raping time," and then walks away. The only saving grace to that joke is that he sits next to the Russian guy, and the Russian guy goes, "I'd probably stay away from it." He's like, "Yep." Like that's the only saving part of that joke. But I mean, even the most hateable characters in this movie are the ones you don't like. You do like at most points of the movie. You know what I mean? And the funny thing was, I forgot Lawrence Fishburne was in this movie, and then when he was, I laughed because I watched a documentary series where he talks about like the Bermuda Triangle or like missing things. He's like, "Hello, I am Lawrence Fishburne," and every time I was watching this, the whole time I'm watching the movie, when he's on it, I was just thinking in my head, "Hello, I am Lawrence Fishburne." The whole time I just couldn't stop. I feel like this movie. I don't understand where the negative reviews came from with this movie and what people expected from this film. I mean, was there anything that stood out? The only things I can see is like sort of like the weird jokey stuff they threw in, which was like Lawrence Fishburne talking to like an imaginary person and that sort of shit, and having that weird dialogue back and forth with him. Like that's the only thing I could see people being like, "Oh, this is a bit stupid" or whatever. But like, I don't understand why this movie didn't get higher scores, higher praise, and why we didn't continue this branch of the storyline, or what happened, man. Because like, think about it, we got Alien versus Predator before this, but this was the first Predator movie, standalone Predator movie since Predator 2. And then we got the terrible Predator movie in 2018, and it's like I would have much preferred you continued this story than the shithole garbage movie we got in 2018. So
Yeah.
tell me a few things else that you like about this movie. Tell me some things that you appreciate that they incorporated in, things like that.
There's a lot of subtle nods to the first movie, which I like the Yakuza dude when he has the sword fight with the Predator. That reminds me a lot of Billy.
Sorry, 1 second, man.
Off she goes.
What are you going to do, man? What do you want? Come on. Sorry. It's weird.
Yeah, obviously it's different and it's more drawn out and it's more fight sceney. But that scene reminds me a lot. It feels like a subtle homage to Billy in Predator 1, where he stops and pulls out the machete and cuts himself, and that's the last you see of him. But I think the throwbacks in this movie are far better than Prey. Prey was either misplaced or just tacky. There's a lot that I kind of take away from this movie that I like. The only thing I don't think I really liked was the look of the main Predator. I don't dislike it, but it just...
See, I really liked it, man, because I really liked that they were like, there was different versions of it, and like one was sort of more superior than the other, and that you had that tied up one that was like the regular OG Predator,
Yeah.
and then you had like the Super Saiyan Predator, I guess, that owns them sort of thing, But that kind of confuses me too because of what they say in the movie, which is they all rock up in threes. Why would two of the smaller ones or one of the smaller one rock up with two of the bigger ones, or so like change that around? You know what I mean? If they don't like each other and they hunt each other, wouldn't that mean they'd have to arrive separately from each other, or they capture one of each other? Like that's the sort of stuff I don't really get,
Yeah, I think that one might have been already there, like maybe captured and put there. Not so much hunting with them. It's kind of
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I appreciate with this movie, man, is the lore that it sets up. Like, I mean, we get to see these sort of weird dog creatures, like alien dog creatures that they send out to, like, see how the people react before they go in and hunt themselves, and then they get called back by the whistle and sort of stuff like that. It goes to show they go to all sorts of different planets and bring out different species and not just humans, and they hunt everything. You know what I mean? Like, which is like that weird alien that Topher Grace is running from. But it's got awesome moments in it, like where they shoot that alien dies, and then they're like, "Nice shot," and she's like, "I missed." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, that's really cool. And I like how the Yakuza guy doesn't really talk until he finds that old ninja sword, which is why I like what you said about you wouldn't mind them going back to like feudal Japan.
Yeah.
This is very old. They've been doing this for a very long time. I'm like, now I know why ALANNIS has been saying that's the setting he'd like to see. You know what I mean? So, because to me, I was always like, that's an interesting way to go, and I don't know why you would choose that yourself. You know, how you would come up with that idea just on a whim. You know, but now I see why you've said that in previous reviews. You know, which is they've obviously visited many civilizations for hundreds of years, thousands of years, if not. You know what I mean? So I get now why you're like, I would like to see that more than you would like to see Prey. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's cool, man. And I mean, what else about this movie can you really say? Like, is there anything that you didn't think that they didn't do well, except for maybe the Predator design that you didn't like?
No, I think it was pretty on point. I liked most of it, and yeah, I wouldn't say I completely disliked the way the main Predator looked, but I think it could have looked a little bit better. Like, it felt some of its aspects looked a little goofy, but I don't think that's necessarily bad.
I did also like how the sort of bitch Predator like helped towards the end when he cuts him down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, they kind of get each other and realize they can. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, what did you think of the twist sort of endings and stuff with like Topher Grace's character and things like that?
I can remember when I first saw it, I wasn't that shocked. I'm like, no, there's something with this dude. Like, it always stood out to me because it's like, why was he there? He was like the black sheep. There was no reason for a nice guy that was just a doctor to be there. So I was just kind of like, he's going to be a dick. But it was impressive in the way he did it. Like, I think it was well done. Like, I didn't see it come together with the scalpel and the neurotoxin and that. So I think it was done quite nicely.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And what did you think about them taking us to their planet instead of being set on Earth like previous installments?
Yeah, I liked seeing the kind of the hunting world that they've kind of got set out where they abduct aliens like us and dump us on there, and have clearly been doing it for a long time. And as you said, I would have liked to have seen a follow up to this. It's refreshing to see it off Earth, because it's always they've come to Earth when there's more to it than that, and this movie finally went there. And I don't get how it was so poorly received based on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a look at some of the reviews here on IMDb just to see what people thought and what the thing of the like what the consensus for this movie was. So there's 757 reviews. I mean, people are really liking it. Most of them, like someone gave it a 7 out of 10 after rewatching the movie for a fourth time. I think this is better than I thought the first and second time. So it's a third time they watched it. Sorry. Big fan of this film. This one has an amazing balls of school vibe with tons of action. Worthy sequel to the '87 original. Back to basics. They can hear you, smell you. So like it's getting 7 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s, 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s, 8. Like I haven't seen any really low scores yet. I'm trying to find one that's kind of like literally people like love letter to the original classic. Solid action sequel, much better than 2. Roaring, ripping, rending rebirth. Sorry. An example of a good sequel, though not a great one, someone wrote. I'm going to have a quick look at what I'm going to type in. Why didn't we get a Predators sequel. In an interview with Movie Phone, with writer Fred Decker explained what we had written was a cameo. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. The Predator sequel we never got to see. Here we go. Predators was released in 2000. This comes from looper.com by Robert Balkovich. Predators was released in 2010, and despite doing modestly well with critics at the box office, it never got a proper sequel. 2018's The Predator takes place in the same universe, but doesn't carry over any characters or plot points. Considering the upcoming fifth Predator movie is rumored to take place about hundreds of years in the past, we're going to assume it won't either. This wasn't always the plan, though, as the creative team behind Predators had an idea for a sequel that never ended up happening. 2010 film follows a group of soldiers, mercenaries, gangsters, and murderers from all around the world who are transported to a strange tropical jungle. Turns out to be a hunting reserve of sorts of an alien planet. Although each of the characters is a killer in their own right, they were brought here to be prey for the group of predators. Then it says, while speaking with fan site AVP Galaxy, Litvak laid out what was supposed to go down in the sequel. The film would have begun with Royce and Isabel recruiting other humans who arrive at the hunting reserve into what Litvak describes as their own little tribe on the planet where they're surviving. Eventually, they would have put a plan to escape into action. According to Litvak, their plan involves the humans getting themselves captured in order to infiltrate one of the transport ships. From there, the movie becomes, as Litvak describes, Die Hard on a predator ship. He went on to add, now you're trying to take control of the ship, all of the super predators you have to fight there. And of course, all the others that's there, like the alien zoo. And then it says, Litvak explained after the humans succeeded in making it back to Earth that there would be a big reveal. We land and realize it's the future. All along we thought this was happening now, but what if these guys had been on ice for 300 years? That was going to be the big twist. Then it says, will Predators 2 ever happen again? Will it ever happen? Sadly, even though the proposed idea for the Predator sequel sounds great, it feels pretty unlikely that we'll actually see it ever actualized. It sounds like the studio exec felt like reviving the sequel idea. They wouldn't have too much trouble wrangling Brody and Braga to reprise their roles. However, it seems more likely the fans will have to make do with Litvak's description what the Predator sequels would have been like. So that's disappointing.
Cool.
That does sound cool, man. And that's what I was saying to you, is that this movie ends on the biggest, we're getting a sequel to this movie ever, which is like, fucking, it ends with, like, what are you going to do now? We're going to find a way off this fucking planet. And they literally walk off, and that's the end of the movie. You know what I mean? So it's disappointing that we'll never get to see that, like, actual, event take place now, And as I said, I would have given anything for Predators 2018 to be this, And that's what I thought we'd quickly do, is look up Predators 2018, the Predator, and have a look at the return on that and the box office on that. So the box office on the Predators movie was $88 million, and it grossed $160 million worldwide. So Predators did 127 million, and the Predator did 160 million dollars. So, but it also seems like the budget for the Predator was over double that of the Predators too. So I consider the Predators to be a much more successful entry in the series than the Predator was in 2018.
Definitely.
And there's one other thing I want to address with this before there's something you want to address too, but I just thought I'd address this. It's weird that when they're with Lawrence Fishburne's character, they're like, how long have you been here? And he's like, 8 seasons? 10 seasons. Wow, 10 seasons, hunting. And they kill the Predator, they kill all the Predators and shit, and then they're going to get off the planet, and it ends with you seeing more people getting dropped to the sky. So is that meant to be another season starting? Because if that's the case, does that mean Lawrence Fishburne was on the planet for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
because like, that was pretty quick that season. I thought it would be like yearly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it ends on them walking off with more parachutes coming from the sky. So where's the sense in that? Does that make much sense to you?
And yeah, that did feel a little weird that it feels like there was more time he was there than what was kind of implied by that end scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's really weird. Like, because there's no way they would that wasn't. We didn't watch something take place over a whole year. There's no fucking way. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like that movie was pretty quick. So I thought it was really interesting too. I thought there was something that they threw in which was really cool with Topher Grace, where they're showing it like they're getting sort of close to each other in Lawrence Fishburne's hideout, and the Russian guy's like, "These are my kids," and then Topher Grace grabs the picture and looks at him, and then later on when they're like gonna kill him or whatever, he's like, "No, like I've got kids," and he holds up the photo of the Russian guy's children, and it's funny because the first time I watched that movie through, I didn't even think that was the same photo. I was like, "Oh, that's his kids," you know what I mean? So I thought that was a really kind of like sort of thing that they threw in to be like, "Oh, this guy isn't everything he says he is," you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But also, I find it a little bit unbelievable that someone who's a murderer or whatever would know as much medical details as he does, really. Like, it's not like serial killers are like, with a little knife and they're like, "Oh, this plant's really poisonous." And they're like, "Oh, if you would have cut my femoral artery or whatever." And it's just like, I think serial killers are just like, "I chopped his fucking head off." You know what I mean? Like, but yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add on to this sort of movie? Because as I said, I really like the plot. I like the setting. I like the way it was filmed, directed, cinematography, the score, the tone. The only thing I said I didn't really dig was the main actor being so sort of stiff the entire time, and I also didn't think that it was fair we didn't get a follow-up to this movie. Apart from that, I don't really have many complaints.
Yeah, I think my bugbears are the same as yours. I don't really have anything to add to that we haven't already touched on.
Definitely. It's just such a great movie, and I just wish we got more of it because it makes you want to live in that universe. It makes you want to see more of that universe more than any Predator movie beforehand. Actually, that's one thing we should probably touch on, that they did try and connect this movie to the first one by having the Latino female lead be able to talk that in the 80s, you know, a bunch of commandos went into the jungle where she lives and they were all hunted and taken out except by this one guy, and she brought back the whole fact of that the mud is what saved him. And so they did try to do a connecting, but I almost think that they could have just not done that as well. You know what I mean? It wasn't significant except for the fact that the guy covers himself in a bit of mud at the end, and you know, that's about it really. But yeah, like definitely a great movie. Definitely underrated, and a shame that we didn't get a sequel to this. Definitely.
Absolutely.
With that, let's get into our trivia for this movie. So, trivia. The alien creature that pursues Edwin, Topher Grace, through the jungle during the ambush scene is a slightly modified version of the original abandoned Predator design from 1987.
Yeah.
The hunting dogs are based on the creature skulls seen in the trophy case on board of the Predator ship near the end of Predator 2. The plant that Edwin, Topher Grace, identifies as Archaea fructus leongenesis has actually been extinct for several million years. Its origin lies in the Cretaceous period. Angiosperm fossils were found in China that they were believed to be 125 million years old, making it the world's earliest known flowering plant. In an earlier draft of the script, Edwin highlights the plant's origins, citing it as yet another inexplicable oddity before they finally realize where they are. The film's basic plot was conceived in 1994 when Robert Rodriguez was working on Desperado in 1995. He presented a draft of the script to 20th Century Fox, but they turned it down because the budget required was too large. 15 years later, the studio decided to follow through with his script. In the end, an updated version of his script, though. Lawrence Fishburne filmed on set just for 2 days. Nimrod Antal specifically chose Adrian Brody for the main protagonist. It was a challenge in finding a balance. When we cast Adrian, there was a lot of people going, what? But at the same time, if we cast a Vin Diesel in that role or anyone who is Arnold-esque, we would have definitely been attacked for doing so. So we decided early to go in a very different direction as far as the casting process, but it turned out fantastic. He also felt like the soldiers should be portrayed as wiry, tough guys, not burly men like Arnold Schwarzenegger. One of the mandates for the production team was that they only looked to the original Predator, 1987, for reference points. The original script contained cameo appearance by Dutch, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Michael Harrigan, Danny Glover, the protagonists of the previous Predator films. However, these appearances were ultimately cut out, so they were actually shot, which is interesting. The classic Predator from the original Predator in 1987 is seen for the first time in this movie in over 20 years. One indication that the Predators have been using the hunting grounds for a very long time is when they first come into the Predator camp, just before they see the classic Predator on the totem pole. There is a Neanderthal skull next to a human skull on the ground as a trophy. The Neanderthal subspecies became extinct 40,000 years ago. We'll do a couple more. Hanzo's name is a reference to Hataro Hanzo, a legendary Japanese samurai of the Sengoku era, 1467 to 1573 AD. Hattori Hanzo is also the name of Chiba's character in Kill Bill Volume 1, which was written and directed by Robert Rodriguez's good friend Quentin Tarantino. The original plan was to alter the 20th Century Fox logo, turning it into a heat vision, as seen from the president's viewpoint. Halfway through the fanfare, the studio nixed that particular idea. Although all the main locations were filmed in Hawaii, 60% of the movie was shot in Texas in order to be eligible for a tax benefit. And you know what? That's that shot I'm talking about. The one that looks like Yellowstone National Park, I guarantee that was Texas. The film was shot in 53 days. Oleg Taktarov dubbed his own voice in the Russian version. And Hanzo only speaks in one scene and has a total of 3 lines of dialogue. So, that's the trivia for this movie. Now, let's get straight into our official ranking for these movies. Now, as of last week, the rankings looked a little like this. Mine was number 1, Prey, 2, Predator, and number 3, Predator 2. ALANNIS was Predator, number 1, number 2, Predator 2, and number 3, Prey. Now here is the updated ranking. Me, TOMYE, number 1, Predators. Number 2, Prey. Number 3, Predator. Number 4, Predator 2. ALANNIS is number 1, Predators. Number 2, Predator. Number 3, Predator 2. And number 4, Prey. Whew, that Prey's going further and further down the fucking ladder for you, isn't it, ALANNIS?
It is. Wait till it meets the Predator.
Yeah, no, that's going to be hilarious. I can't wait to do that review next week with you. So, that is our, 4th Predators review. Next week, we will be doing our Predator ranked and reviewed for The Predator from 2018. Now, some of you may be asking why we haven't done the AVP movies yet. And that is because we have decided we're not doing them in chronological order of release, but we will do the Alien vs. Predator movies after we do all the mainline Predator movies. And then we will probably go straight into our review of the Alien franchise after that as well, to make sure it has a little bit of balance. So, I'm looking forward to doing that, ALANNIS. We've only got, 3 movies left to go?
Yes.
The Predator, then we've got Alien vs. Predator and Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Correct.
And I'm not looking forward to the Predator either, but hey, let's get into it. And that what's his name? The black scientist dude who's like, to Predator. Yeah, that's a cool fucking name or whatever. Like he's the first guy that came up with that fucking name or whatever, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why the guy from Narcos, the main dude from the first 2 seasons of Narcos, decided to jump onto that fucking movie, but he did, I guess. So we all make choices, don't we, ALANNIS? We all make choices. Cool. With that, also, by the way, by the time you're watching this, our Halloween 6 Curse of Michael Myers review will be up for you all to watch, as well as our new episode of Pop Vultures, episode 3, where we talked a little bit about the new Beverly Hills Cop movie, update on the movie The Flash, Aquaman 2 possibly having 2 Batmen, and the new Mafia game coming from Hangar 13. Next week, we're doing Halloween H2O and The Predator from 2018, along with another episode of Pop Vultures, so keep an eye out for that. As always, actually, before we sign out, remember, if you've actually stuck around till the ending of this, which, anyone that is watching this, you have, we asked you to do one thing at the start, which was like the video. Now, if you've actually stuck around and you like what you've seen, please, you've got a couple of other things you can do to help us out. Subscribe, turn on notifications for our channel so you never miss a video when it's uploaded, comment, and leave a like. And you know what? Maybe even share the video if you feel like it too, because it helps us out a lot. And remember, on September 18th, we have our Ranked and Reviewed 50th episode spectacular happening. And we have called it Tanked and Reviewed, where we will be reviewing the movie Barbie and the Pink Shoes in 2013. And that can only be described as an intoxicated celebration for our 50th episode, where we will review Barbie and the Pink Shoes under the influence of lots of alcoholic beverages and whatnot. So grab your beverage of choice, your whatever of choice, and come join us for that on September 18th. As always, this has been Ranked and Reviewed. We'll see you next episode. I am your host, TOMYE West. Joining me as always has been my co-host, ALANNIS MAXIMUS. And we will see you next episode. And as we're going to always do, we're going to end the episode on my famous Predator sound. All right, guys. See you next review. Peace.